We go back now to our top story and, of course, the Constitutional Court ruling that former President Jacob Zuma must serve 15 months in jail for contempt of court. Let's take you live to my colleague Samkele Maseko. Over to you, Samkele.
Yes, the governing party is reacting now to the judgment by the Constitutional Court incarcerating the former president of the ANC for 15 months. Bulemabe will be reading the ANC statement and we will definitely quiz.
All right, technology is deceiving us. As soon as we can, we are going to go back to Samkele.
In the rule of law and fulfilling the aspirations
the rule of law and fulfilling the aspirations of our constitutional democracy.
Essentially, Mr. Mabe, where does then the ANC sit? Have you had an engagement with former President Jacob Zuma for 15 months?
Well, you would recall that previously the national officials had met after out of a decision of the National Executive Committee, had met with the former president at that time to reflect on his unwillingness to appear before the State Capture Commission and to deal with whatever issues that he might have wanted to ventilate on. So there was that engagement. The National Executive Committee itself has also reflected on this kind of developments. Now that there is a decision, the NEC is sitting this coming weekend. It will be able to reflect on the consequences and implications of this kind of a decision. We did call on our structures and members, society at large, to remain calm. We have affirmed our support for the rule of law. And
are really observing the development of our own constitutional democracy.
Have you met with the former president? Have you spoken to him since the decision today? And I mean, how are you going to navigate through this as the African National Congress, given that there are deep divisions already within the party? Surely this could even take the party into a split.
Well, we will be able to get a report. We've got capable and able national officials who engage with the former president from time to time on a myriad of issues. If there was engagement, we're going into our own meeting of the National Executive Committee this coming weekend. We will be able to know if there are issues that need to be brought to the attention of the National Executive Committee.
Given 5 days to hand himself over, I mean, NEC meeting over the weekend, is it not going to be a bit too late in terms of talking to the former president? Won't you speak to him a bit sooner? Have you even made a call just to find out how he's doing?
Well, hence I'm saying that with that work, if it gets to be done, it will be done by the relevant offices in the organization. We've got national officials who engage with the former president from time to time, in the same way that they engage with all other former leaders of the organization.
Mr. Mabe, on a more critical question, the Provincial Secretary of the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal, Mdumiseni Ntuli, had asked for space for the national leadership to engage with the former president. How will this exacerbate the divisions within your governing party with having a former president of the ANC and of the Republic of South Africa now being incarcerated? Will this further divide your organization?
Well, we've all been working together with all structures of the organization on the unity and renewal process, making sure that we foster this engagement. We encourage all our members to do everything well within their powers to make sure that sanity prevails and that the integrity of organizational property is held together and that our members carry themselves in the manner that does not undermine the overall discipline of the organization. I mean, in the past weeks, we've also been talking against violence that we have seen in some of our branch general meetings and all of that. And we have sent a strong words against those that propel forward such kind of activities. And the leadership of the ANC from national level up until branch level has been united in terms of making sure that those that engage or embark on such activities are exposed or even thrown with the rule book of the African National Congress, so that if such individuals qualify to be expelled or are seen to be bringing disrepute into our own organization, they are then told to stand on the side and allow the organization to run.
So what's your message then to the ANC members that are watching this press briefing this very moment from an ANC perspective? What's your message to them in terms of what has unfolded today? And as the African National Congress, do you support the Constitutional Court decision?
Well, of course, we have spoken on numerous occasions about our own reaffirmation and commitment to uphold the rule of law and fulfilling the aspirations of our own constitutional democracy. We have always said that institutions that are established to deepen constitutional democracy must be supported. We have said that the constitution of the republic is sacrosanct. It is important to drive forward the unity of our people, because the very rights, the Bill of Rights, that actually gives our people the right to associate, the right to freely express themselves, those rights are enshrined in the constitution of the republic. So the ANC has at all material times supported the constitution of the republic and went out to encourage everyone to uphold the constitution. Just now on Sunday, we're celebrating the 66 years of the Freedom Charter. It is that Freedom Charter that actually gave our people the license to govern this country. Under the clause, people shall govern. We have created a country that is justly established on the will of our people. People now participate in elections. And such rights are fully enshrined in the Constitution. They know that when they turn 18, they are eligible to vote for whichever political party that they may want to vote for. They are aware of that, because these are rights given to them, accorded to them by the Constitution.
Mr. Mabet, do you believe that the former president was testing the limits of the Constitution of the Republic of South
slapping and spitting in the face of the very same Constitution he sought to uphold as the President of the country?
Well, I don't think it's really
the President of the country.
Well, I don't think it's really our space as the African National Congress to speak on the merits and demerits of the case, because the ANC was not presiding over the case. What the ANC has been doing throughout time was to encourage all of its members, including the former president, to appear before the Commission on State Capture when so invited. And we continue to make such kind of statements out there, because we have supported the Commission on State Capture coming out of the 54th National Conference of the African National Congress, because we felt that it provides an opportunity to deal with whatever blight that would have engulfed our own government. It also accord those that were in government at a certain time an opportunity to state their own side without being unfairly accused of this and that.
So the ANC is going to Nkandla to see the former president before he hands himself over?
Well, Samkele, like I've said, we've got a National Executive Committee meeting sitting this coming weekend. We will be able to reflect on the consequences and implications of this kind of a decision. You would know that it is effectively for the first time post a democratic dispensation that we are having to really sail through these rough waters, especially having to deal with a weighty matter like this that involves the former president of the African National Congress and the former president of the Republic of South Africa.
So you've previously met with the former president. I remember even in the previous briefing saying that the ANC top six and the structures of the ANC have decided on giving the president time to consider his decision on whether to appear or not to the State Capture Commission. I want to get an insight on the engagements with the former president leading up to this stage. What's the former president been saying in that regard?
Well, I wouldn't even want to get into conversations that I would not have been privy to. Safe to say that the message of the African National Congress has been one consistent message, encouraging all of our members who could be invited to appear before all of these bodies to make themselves available so that they could be able to reflect on their own visions. We've been sending that message. But, of course, the choice really depends on an individual member, on the kind of decisions that they make on whether to appear or not to appear. What the African National Congress can't do is that it can't push people to appear before commissions. It can encourage them in a more comradely manner. in the manner that it has done here, including through its own national officials, to make sure that those engagements are being held, so that we give all of our members the space to reflect on whatever decision and conclusions they make on their own decisions.
I'm assuming you would have met then with the former president, I beg your pardon, with the top 6 leadership or senior leadership structures of the party before coming to this briefing. What was the message then that you want to send as the African National Congress to the former president after hearing this briefing?
Well, the message of the African National Congress has been clearly articulated. We have noted the judgment. We are studying the very judgment. We will have the National Executive Committee of the African National Congress to be able to reflect on the consequences and the implications of that decision. We have again reaffirmed our support for the Constitution and for the upholding of constitutional democracy as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marvin. That was Mr. Marvin, the ANC spokesperson there, saying that the NEC would be meeting this weekend and they would be deliberating on this judgment as they are still currently studying it, and the NEC, the highest decision-making structure between conferences, will then give a directive to the ANC officials on what to do with this punitive measure of 15 months incarceration that has been slapped to former President Jacob Zuma, who's been criticized by the Constitutional Court by testing the Constitution and literally not obeying the very same Constitution he sought to protect when he was inaugurated as the President of the Republic of South Africa back in 2009.
Thank you very much, Samkele, for that. We'll catch up with you as the day progresses. My colleague there, Samkele Maseko.